Hi, everybody. Welcome to Face to Face. And there is not often that we can do a 100th anniversary birthday party for anyone in Windsor-Essex County. But if we're going to do it, I guess we're going to celebrate the great work of Farrow, Russell A. Farrow,
yep,
and Customs Brokers, and so much more.
Yes.
Rick Farrow, fourth generation?
Third generation.
Third generation. Well, you got that look today that you're fourth.
Fourth, thanks.
But I think fourth are involved.
Fourth are involved. My son's involved, absolutely.
But what a story.
Yep.
When we look at this, and in Windsor and Essex County, to have a company this year celebrating a 100th anniversary is something you want to get behind and make a big deal about. So we're going to blow a little bit of the trumpet for you, Rick.
Okay, great.
A little bit of a history, starting by your grandfather.
My grandfather, Russell, 1911, on a little ferry boat crossing the Detroit River. And from there, I mean, prior to that, his father, Robinson R., my great-grandfather, was Commissioner of Customs for all of Canada, which today is like the Minister of National Revenue. So then my grandfather, he passed away in '49. Of course, my grandfather was mayor of Walkerville and did his stint there. He was a politician in his own right, and about the second oldest broker in the country, still surviving today. And then he passed in '49, and actually his wife Alice, who had never worked a day in the business, came into the business, ran it for 7 years until my father, my uncle, and my aunt were all old enough to take over. I came out of college in '72. I was born in '51, so I didn't get to know my grandfather. Heard some great stories, but
sure.
So I came in '72 and started working for my dad then, and today my brother and I run the business, own the business, and I have a son in the business and other siblings and children, and
wow.
it's a real family affair. So.
Well, you know, when you look at it, a lot of us remember your dad, Huntley Farrow.
Yep.
And as I say, him being a great politician. We won't get into politics because you aren't the politician.
I'm not
in
a
the
politician.
Family. They've covered it, your grandfather and
yeah.
your dad and everything.
Absolutely.
And so we won't get. But
okay.
If there's anything you want to talk about, this is the show to talk about.
I will.
First off, we also want to say that you were an alumni of distinction of St. Clair College.
Yes, I was.
So that's kind of a proud thing for us here on the show.
It was. Thank you.
What did you take at the college?
I took the business course, obviously. It was a 3-year course. I went right into second year, and the day after I graduated in May of '72, I went to work for my dad. So
great.
Yeah.
What is a custom broker? What kind of thing you do?
The basics of it is, simplicity of it is we simply clear freight for our clients. We have over 5,000 clients we serve today. Clear their freight over international borders, whether it comes in by ocean, air, rail, or by truck. We handle all the customs issues, the permits, the duties, the taxes. We actually pay on behalf of our clients. So we're in a very heavy cash business, and then we bill it back to them with our fee. And that's how simple it is.
So some of the clients that you have that
we have
over
great,
the years,
we have great
years,
clients.
I'm sure you've
well,
had some
we've,
that we'd recognize.
Our longest client today is Campbell Soup. We've got over 80 years of history with them.
Wow.
People like John Deere, Home Depot is our largest client. We have great food clients, Nestle, those types. So we have a real mix of clients. We're not heavy in any one sector. If anything, I guess probably the food industry is where we're the heaviest. We do Toyota and Kia in the food business. Every time you go to a movie, watch a show, chances are that we've imported that reel. We work for all the movie houses in L.A.
Right?
Yep.
Well, can you do anything about importing this show or exporting this show?
We definitely could help you with that.
We could help us with that, exporting this show.
Yeah.
And we've been on for 10 years, you know.
Congratulations.
So we're not 100 years, but wow, we got some help there. I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. So when we're picking up goods from at the grocery store or wherever we're buying things, a lot of that stuff coming from the United States. What other countries are you importing from? All
countries of the world. There's no particular area. Doesn't really matter. As long as it's coming from another country into Canada, we're going to handle it. So.
Right. Yeah. Your location, the big location, everyone knows, everyone drives by it.
Windsor, corporate on Huron Line. We have
right by the Holiday Inn.
Yeah, we have 3 facilities here in Windsor. We have about 30 facilities across Canada, United States. We went into the United States in the mid-'80s. We have about 125 staff working out of about 10 facilities in the U.S. And then, of course, the rest are here in Canada. Today, we're about 600 employees.
Wow.
And we'll just do probably about $1.2 billion, $1.3 billion this year in gross sales. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it's come a long ways.
That's great. Now, with with the import, what has changed in the last 10 years? I mean,
well,
one of the things that you have in your history is using computers.
Oh, yeah.
Farrow was one of the first ones to use IBM. And
we were one of the first. We have a long-lasting relationship with IBM. We've actually, years back when I first came in, developed software that we sold to the Canadian government, still used today in international airports and at immigration. So we've been a bit of a leader in that area.
With how things have changed,
well,
the last 10 years.
Compliance is a big thing. The government has reduced some requirements from an importation perspective, but they put more on the compliance aspect. So today our clients are more concerned about having a good record, a good broker, good drivers, good trucks, and it's really on an honor system, and that's what we're seeing. We've helped a number of clients move into some of the new programs, but pretty much every time they come out with a new program, whether it was back in the NAFTA days, when they changed the whole tariff structure in Canada and the whole country, or the world actually, all of those things have, at the end of the day, really created more work and more value in our services. So,
on the news and everything we learn about recently, they're talking about a perimeter border.
Yep.
How would that change or affect things like you do?
Well, not a lot. It would change some of the processes, but there's been a lot of talk about the second bridge happening and whether it's going to happen in my lifetime or not. I'm not so sure, but at the end of the day, all those things really enhance our requirements. So, there's nothing we're concerned about per se. So,
I think when looking about economics of Windsor-Essex and our area, we think of always importing.
Yep.
But there's probably a lot of things that are being manufactured and made here in Windsor-Essex that are going out to the world, and the United States, obviously, our big trading partner.
Absolutely.
What are some of the things that are going out from your perspective?
Well, we've been doing a fair amount with clients like Home Depot and their exports. When we started our U.S. business in '86, we really capitalized with our existing clients in Canada. So, there's no one particular product that we focus in or that we stay attention to, but it's really just it's an array of products. Every day it's different. No days are similar.
Is there a lot of produce and perishables?
Produce is a big thing. We don't do a lot of produce in our industry with our clients.
Yep.
So but it's pretty much everything. There's nothing in specific I could really comment on that.
The whole field too with this cargo hub of whatever could come at the airport. How will that change things for our community?
I've had a few meetings at the airport. They've been talking to our firm about possibly setting up an office out there, and really for us, and I think for the other brokerages or brokerage houses, there needs to be some structure there before there's an interest for us, because with customs the way it is today in the computer world, we can transact a shipment, clearance of a shipment anywhere in the world from any location.
Wow.
We don't have to be, before in the earlier days we had to have offices everywhere. So if you look back in our history, you'll see that we've actually closed offices, which to me is backward thinking as an individual, but the reality is it's the right business decision. So so today we just had a meeting the other day with a large client who's looking at giving us some U.S. business, and they have 30,000 shipments a year all across the U.S., but all we have to do is have one office to transmit from, and we can handle their business effectively. So
good. Well, let's talk about your dad.
Sure.
I think one of the things your dad's known about, not only the politics of it, but his involvement also in the community with sports.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that many people saw him at a lot of rinks, and hockey was
Riverside Arena, Windsor Arena. I remember early mornings, 5, 6. He'd drag me out of bed, take me to hockey practice. I did fair amount of travel hockey when I was younger, and he was always at the arena. He was always out raising money, and then he got very heavily involved with AKO Sports, the sports fraternity. He was a big promoter of that organization, and not just from a financial perspective, but he was a doer. I mean, he used to jump on all the buses with the teams and go out of town to the football games, and it just carried on. We had the Farrow Rangers and at Riverside Arena in hockey, and at one time my father and a bunch of other guys had the junior C team, I think it was. So, hockey was always a love of my dad. In fact, I've got a number of pictures in the office when he was playing in a church league, and, there he was. So, but, sports was really his thing, and he worked it in between politics and his business and his love for golf. Golf
well,
was
that's what I also want to talk
yeah.
about, because he was a big sponsor. Not only did he enjoy golfing himself, you'd see him a lot at the various courses in Windsor-Essex County, but he sponsored a lot of the young youth golfers.
We still do. We still probably sponsor 30, 40 teams a year throughout different communities. So
yeah,
we've carried that on, and in his tradition, and we also started a education scholarship program about 5 years ago in his honor, and I think so far we've put 49 students through that. So yeah, wow. It's something we're carrying on.
Now, how is it being Huntley Farrow's son?
Yep.
You know, when you're at these arenas,
yep.
and if he was a politician and counselor and things like this, how was it when you had to say, "Dad, come on, we got to go," and he had to, someone else would stop him and everything, because he was totally engaged with his community, right?
Very much so. He, it was being a counselor back then was supposed to be, I think, one meeting a month and some committee work, but I'll tell you, my father probably locked himself in the basement office more so than anything, and spent most of his time doing city politics. And he traveled, I remember he and Frank Wansborough traveled all over North America on behalf of the city, and he just loved it. You know, he made a promise with my mother. He wanted to run for mayor, and she didn't want him to, and that was after 15 years, I believe. And, you know, the only reason he did was he made a promise to her that if he got beat, he'd get out. And, you know, he won't admit this, and I think he's probably looking down today, but from our perspective, best thing ever happened to him was he got beat. So you know, that's when they moved to Florida and started to enjoy their time. So
I got to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Did your mother work for the opponent?
No. Yeah, no, probably in her own sense she did. She probably made a few calls, but no, she was, you know, she was a great mother, and she grew up in the business with us. And,
great.
Yeah.
Great. If you look at one of his achievements, what are you most proud of your dad's achievements?
Just the work he did in the community. Nothing special. You know, he did a lot of work with Wheels on Wheels, a lot of the arenas. I always, to be honest with you, I always had a challenge with the political side of that, and it was always it seemed to me it always to be a thankless job. I remember he'd wake me up in the morning and say, "Come on, we're going to go unplug some guy's sewer," and he asked me to plow streets when the city wasn't there plowing in the
Counselors
wintertime.
do that?
Yeah, they
I
do.
never knew that. So now I know that if I have the counselor come on the show, I said, well, Huntley Farrow did it, and you should too.
Yeah.
All right.
But it's really because of him I started doing the charity work I do today. So
well, let's talk about this. So first off, you have a 100th anniversary, 100th birthday party to do. How are you going to, with all your employees, you got some in different, you got customers all over the world. So how are you going to roll this 100th birthday party we're going to hear?
Well, we've been working on it for about 6 months to a year, planning. Next Monday actually, we're going to have a birthday party in all of our offices. We've got cake and ice cream coming in. Good. We're trying to do everything we can with our clients. McDonald's is a very big client of ours, so at noon we're giving every employee a $10 gift card for McDonald's and say, go get your burger or your hot dogs, come on back. Sobeys a client of ours. They're providing us with all the birthday cakes. Whoa! Nestle, a client of ours, is providing us with all the frozen pizzas that we're going to send the employees home with at the end of the day so they can go home and finish the day with their families, because we try to, always stay family focused. Sure. So that's how we're going to start off on Monday. We're going to do that in every office across the country. Isn't that great? Yeah, we have some offices actually where we work on site at our client's office. In particular, one was Kellogg, so we're sending cake and ice cream into them as well. So we're doing that. We're going to do some cruises this summer in 3 of our locations with all of our staff and spouses. We're doing a number of client events, golf events, and some history events. And we're going to host a few dinners here and there and invite, So as I say, when you look at it, though, 100th, do you take the wealth of that? It's not only pictures, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of reminiscing, but and the responsibilities of families who have been through your, and generations of families, when you think about it, that have been part of your story. Yeah, I've been working on a picture layout for a video, and I see a number of faces that are no longer with us today, and that's some of the sad things. My father passed 3 years ago, and that's one of the biggest regrets is he's not going to be at this celebration. But I remember talking to him about it many times, and I think he'd be proud of